All right, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to change your life by learning the wisdom of the ages? Well, I am, and you might be asking yourself, what is the wisdom of the ages? Well, you're in the right place, ladies and gentlemen, because it is Wednesday. And you know what that means? Wednesday wisdom, reading from Dr. Wayne W. Dyer's Wisdom of the Ages, 60 Days to Enlightenment. And the wisdom of the ages, Dr. Wayne Dyer has crafted a powerful collection of writings, poems, and sayings by some of the greatest thinkers of the past 25 centuries. And so, in succinct, original essays, Dyer explains the meaning and context, and we elaborate on those meaning and contexts with our own meaning and context in the intent that we can each gain a piece of wisdom, and most importantly, how we can actively apply these teachings to our modern lives, ladies and gentlemen. So, today's topic is about appreciation. What comes to mind when you think of appreciation? Maybe a good feeling that you get when you give or receive appreciation, or maybe the increasing of value of something by its appreciation and not depreciation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the piece of poetry today comes to us from Dorothy Parker, who lived 1893 to 1967. An American writer of short stories, verse, and criticism, Dorothy Parker was noted for her causic, caustic wit. Interesting, ladies and gentlemen. And so her poem here is titled On Being a Woman, once again on appreciation. And so the poem begins on being a woman. Why is it when I am in Rome, I'd give an eye to be at home? But when on native earth I be, my soul is sick for Italy. And why with you, my love, my lord, am I spectacularly bored? Yet do you up and leave me, then I scream to have you back again. Dorothy Parker, powerful words there about, how it's always greener on the other side. And then when you get to the other side, that's still the fact, is that you want to get back. I didn't mean to rhyme there, ladies and gentlemen, but let's dive right into what Dr. Wayne Dyer and Dorothy Parker have to teach us about this idea of appreciation coming from this poem titled On Being a Woman. This poem, Wayne begins, in the witty and clever style that was the hallmark of Dorothy Parker's writing, reflects on a common neurotic trait that most of us are familiar with. She puzzles poetically about our peculiar tendency to want what we don't have until we have it. Wow. Isn't that a fascinating sentence, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you got some tea or a nice beverage so you're ready to enjoy this wonderful teaching from the wisdom of the ages. And let's continue, ladies and gentlemen, because that was a fascinating sentence. She puzzles poetically about our peculiar tendency to want what we don't have until we have it, and then not to want it, which is even more peculiar. One of the great mysteries of humanity. Why is it that we so often don't enjoy our moments and persistently neglect the here in favor of the there? See, we're always talking about this, ladies and gentlemen, the striving rather than the arriving. And lately, in the last few weeks, it's become more and more of a point that's being pushed in these readings, in the Tuesday Tao videos, learning the wisdom of the Tao, living the wisdom of the Tao, and our Wednesday wisdom videos, ladies and gentlemen. They seem to be linking up on this topic of, of the ability to enjoy our present moments rather than always persistently neglecting the here in favor of the there, what we're striving for. So Dorothy Parker, Wayne continues, titles this On Being a Woman, but based on my own observation of my fellow males, including myself, and I would agree, I would retitle this two-stanza poem On Being a Person. And he's right, ladies and gentlemen, because, you know, what he just said there, my fellow males, including myself, deal with this as well. And I'm sure every one of us listening has dealt with this in our lives to where we have a hard time appreciating where we are. And then when we get somewhere new, it's like we have a hard time appreciating that. It's like we never practice this ability to appreciate where we are. We're always practicing the ability to depreciate where we are and want, to go somewhere else. And this could be good in the case of growth motivation versus deficiency motivation. But, there's a difference between those two things. And I'll lay it out real fast for you. Deficiency motivation, ladies and gentlemen, is when the place where you are is deficient and not good enough, and you need it to be fixed somehow. Growth motivation, on the other hand, comes from a mindset of where you are is perfectly fine. You're perfectly fine with where you're at, even if there are things that you would prefer to fix about that. You're not judging and beating yourself up about where you are. You're just like, all right, I've done what I've known how to do in my life and made the choices that I've made, and I am where I am, and I'm fine with that. Even though it may not be, the ideal position, you're still okay with it. And then from a growth mindset, so it would almost seem to be the same thing, but one of them is depreciating and one of them is appreciating. In this lesson today about appreciation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, On Being a Person was what Wayne would retitle this poem on, because so many of us, he continues, suffer from this malady of not being fully immersed in the present, he puts it. Yet the present is the only place we can fully immerse ourselves, because it's the only place where we really ever are. And so, why do we use up the present moments of our lives, the very precious currency of life, consumed with a longing to be someplace else? Why do we use our present moments, use them up, and feeling guilty about the past or apprehensive about the future, or in anticipating being anywhere but here? As Dorothy Parker so aptly points out in this short poem, my answer to those questions, Wayne says, is that we do so because we are living our lives with an attitude of depreciation rather than appreciation. And the way to resolve this dilemma is so simple that it eludes almost everyone. And see, that was my point about how, the growth versus deficiency motivation, they could almost seem to be the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, but the difference is really big. And so this dilemma is so simple that it eludes almost everyone. That is, live your life in a state of appreciation rather than depreciation. And I did a video on my channel about this a couple of years ago before I even read this. I think I probably heard him talk about it in a lecture. And it was like, I thought about life savings. You know how people throw that term out there? I used my life savings. And I was really thinking about that because at that time, and pretty much still, but it's going in a different direction from a growth motivation mindset, ladies and gentlemen. But at that time, I had zero life savings when it came to cash or money or investments and any things like that. But I did realize that I had tons of landscape paintings that I had done, and there's books that I own. And, so I just started creating this new mindset around what I used to think was me having zero life savings. And then, I tried to switch it to where I started appreciating the things that I had rather than depreciating them, ladies and gentlemen, and seeing them as valueless. Especially my paintings, it's hard sometimes. You go through these periods of producing, the art or whatever form of production it is in your life. And you go through a time of producing these things, and then you want it to hold great value for other people in turn, making money off of it. But it doesn't work that way. There's a different process, a different psychological and, spiritual and practical process to all of that. And so, that is something that I've been having to learn and transition through in my own life. In this topic of living your life, going back to what Wayne is saying here, in a state of appreciation rather than depreciation. And so he continues, it is nothing more than making a decision to become aware of how you are using up your present moments in the very private inner world of our thoughts. Of our thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. That's where all of this really happens, is in this private world, inner world of our thoughts and our heart, which was being described yesterday, that place inside of us. And so it's like when you are in their presence, wait a minute, I skipped a line there. This private inner world of our thoughts, when you find yourself in Rome and you are thinking about being at home or vice versa, giving yourself a nudge and making a choice. So when we're having these feelings, ladies and gentlemen, we need to remember, first of all, we have to have an awareness and notice that we are having these kind of depreciating kind of thoughts. And then begin to nudge ourselves, nudge our minds, or that part of us that seems to be, wants to run our lives, but we know that there's another part of us that can observe and begin to try to make adjustments to this ego automatic functioning monkey minds, as some spiritual traditions will call it. And it's like we have to begin to give ourselves a nudge, Wayne continues, and make a choice to stop depreciating Rome and instead make the effort to appreciate this kind of self-talk. And see, so this is a kind of self-talk that will rescue you from the trap of never being fully here in the present moment. One of the traits I have observed in highly functioning people is their uncanny ability to shut out the past and the future as well. When you are in their presence, they look you directly in the eye, and you have their full attention. Worry is not a part of their life experience. One of those people explained it to me this way. Wayne says, first, it makes no sense to worry about the things you have no control over. And I've heard this before. My dad taught me this many years ago. And, it's one of those things that sticks with you. It's funny, as time goes on, the things you learn become the things that you eventually want to teach, depending on the value. Or that might just be my own character. This thing looks so beautiful in the background, this gold one. I really love it. But anyways, I moved it. Now it's not shining. There we go. Get that nice shine there. Swing. Anyways, if you're not watching the video, ladies and gentlemen, there's a little block. There's a little shiny, nice piece of rock in the background. It's got a gold shine to it. And so I thought I'd stop and mention that. My hair's getting a little wild too. So if you're getting value, ladies and gentlemen, leave me a comment with a thumbs up or that says yes, and be sure to smash that like button and tell the algorithm to send this video to more people, because we can change some lives, ladies and gentlemen, with this simple, the simple technique of new versions of self-talk. And so what Wayne was saying here is like, worry is, once you become one of these highly functioning people, that you have this ability and you create it over time and practice. So don't think if you can't do this now, then you're not worthy, because we're all worthy, ladies and gentlemen, and we can do this. And so it's like, we just have to practice at it. And so shut out the past and the future as well, and, have full presence in the now. And worry is no longer a part of your life experience. These are all practices that we can work on. And so Wayne says, one of these people, these highly functioning people, explained it to me this way. They said, first, it makes no sense to worry about the things that you have no control over. Because if you have no control over them, it makes no sense to worry about them, right? Logical. Now, second, it makes no sense to worry about the things that you do have control over, because if you have control, it makes no sense to worry, ladies and gentlemen. And so worry is not part of their life experience. And there goes everything it is possible to worry about. That's the most hilarious part, ladies and gentlemen, is that once you say that, it's like there's no more excuses. And so that's amazing. And so I feel this message is important enough to repeat it again and again to ourselves. So I'm going to say it one more time here, ladies and gentlemen, because it's so powerful. First, it makes no sense to worry about the things that you have no control over, because if you have no control over them, it makes no sense to worry. Second, it makes no sense to worry about the things you do have control over, because if you have control, then it makes no sense to worry. And so therefore, there goes everything that it is possible to ever worry about. So if it was only that easy to get there, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we repeated it, to try to continue to remind ourselves. And so write that down if you need it for reference for yourself, and put it in a space in your living space, in your house or wherever, your room, to where you see it and you remind yourself, like, right, there is no reason to worry. How can I feel that way? And then when you think that thought, you begin the practice of creating the ability of how you can get to that place. Now, thus, Wayne continues, if I'm in Rome, I have absolutely no control over home. So if I have the choice to not depreciate Rome and appreciate home, when Rome is where I am, similarly, when I am with anyone and bored, it is because I have made the deliberate choice to depreciate who I am with, and to only appreciate that which is not here. Thus, when the boring one leaves, I still maintain the same neurotic thought process. And if you don't know what neurotic means, I like to think about it as illogical behavior. Behaviors that just don't make sense when you really think it out. But we do it without thinking about it, and it's kind of silly in a way. I would say it's rather, stupid or debilitating, but we don't notice it. So, we have to begin becoming aware, increasing our awareness, ladies and gentlemen, through discovering the wisdom of the ages. And so that's why we're here. If you're getting value and you're new here, appreciate you being here. I'm Chase. Nice to meet you. You should consider subscribing, because we have many more journeys to go, ladies and gentlemen. We have pulling your own strings in the background, talking about dynamic techniques for dealing with other people and living your life as your choose, as you choose, ladies and gentlemen. Man, my hair is wild today. Maybe that's just part of the fun, especially this little piece, but it's all good, ladies and gentlemen, all good. Now, back to where we were. If I still maintain the same neurotic thought process, I appreciate what is not here and depreciate my what? Okay, wait a minute. I've made the deliberate choice, yes, yeah, and that's what and to only appreciate that which is not here. Thus, when the boring one leaves, I still maintain the same neurotic thought process. He goes, I appreciate what is not here and depreciate my aloneness, which is what constitutes the present. This is deep. I hope you're picking up what is being put down here, ladies and gentlemen. By learning to practice appreciating what is here in the moment, in the now, and to depreciate nothing, the dilemma that the witty author presents in her poetry disappears. And it quite simply is a matter of making conscious decisions in the moment about this, ladies and gentlemen. So Wayne continues on here. Often I find myself falling into the trap that Dorothy Parker presents here when I am in solitude for the exclusive purpose of writing, which is something I'd like to practice myself, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm sure we'd all love a little bit of solitude. Isn't it hard to create that space for ourselves? And that's something that we have to practice at. Creating sacredness in your life, I think, could be another topic that comes out of this idea. But then when, so when he's in solitude, he wants to go back home. But away from the noise and the constant interruptions of a large family, I find myself wanting to be with them. And then when I am home, I find myself longing for the privacy and solitude of my writing location. And so this is the perfect modern day example for what this poem was about. And I'll kind of reiterate a bit of it. She was saying, why is it, quote, when I am in Rome, I'd give an eye to be at home, but when I'm home, on native earth I be, my soul is sick for Italy. And so she wants to go back. And so it's, like Wayne was just saying, it's this paradox of like when he's away from the noise and the constant interruptions of his family, he finds himself wanting to be with them. But when he's at home, he finds himself longing for the privacy of, you know, another location, the solitude. And so the way out of this, which is what you might be asking yourself right now. All right, Chase. All right, Wayne. You've rambled to me and you've told me these things, and it's kind of making sense, but how do I do this? This is why we're here, ladies and gentlemen, for the practical, applicable ways that we can take this lofty knowledge and try to apply it into our lives. So, with that example that was just said there with Wayne, he goes, the way out of this for me is to become aware. It's a lot of mind work, self-talk, watching your thoughts. This all goes back to um, basic positive thinking, mindfulness, and creating a better quality of life for yourself. Is the basic principles is watch your thoughts and realize when you have thoughts that you don't want to have and begin to nudge them in a different direction by using your focus and by creating mantras and sayings. Like I drink these teas, this green tea kombucha from the Yogi brand. Shoot, there's a little plug for them, even though even though the advertising demand on this platform isn't very big, ladies and gentlemen. The world, but see, so they have these little quotes and mantras. This is what I'm talking about. You have to include this stuff into your life more often to begin to increase the quality of your life. I'll say it 1,000 times. It's a practice to create an ability. You don't do one push-up and become a strong individual. Now, so this little mantra here today for us says, ladies and gentlemen, the world needs your unique gifts. So don't leave with them still inside you. How many of us recognize that we do have unique gifts? And how many of us have yet to get them out into the world? Maybe that's what I'm trying to practice here by doing this. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, so the way out of this practically, you're like, come on, you didn't tell me anything. If you're thinking that, that's not true. Everybody's getting something out of this, ladies and gentlemen. I know you are, because I'm loving this, and this is powerful. And so, but the way out of this practically is to become aware of what I am doing, Wayne says, and how I am using my thoughts, and to bring myself immediately back to the present. While writing, I practice the habit of appreciation for everything around me. I look out at the scenery and say thank you for these surroundings and the opportunity to create here and now. And then the writing itself becomes a great source of joy. Similarly, when I am home and the children are running about and there seems to be no end to the confusion, I push out all the thoughts of elsewhere and practice being in a state of appreciation. And so you could very easily see if we're stuck in subconscious, neurotic, illogical, just reactive behaviors that we're not even aware of why we're behaving the way we are and thinking the thoughts we are, and we're not choosing them. We're just letting them pop in and saying, and we're angry at life and can never have a sense of appreciation and true awe for any kind of moments. We need to do the work. But, I think for some of us, we don't even care. I think some people are just like so caught in their neurotic behaviors, their illogical, just, looped anger and frustration and, all these negative thoughts, and we've convinced ourselves that it's impossible that we can do anything about it. Or somebody's convinced us that, sorry, this is just how life is, and there's nothing that you can do to change your thoughts and change your life, change the quality of your life and the quality of the moments of your life. And so I think really the key for that situation is just convincing those people that we have the ability to make a difference in our lives by doing a little bit of practice or work on that subject. Most people are like, yeah, I want to fix my lawn. But really, your mind's all messed up. I've never put it that way before, ladies and gentlemen, but seriously, think about it. Like, we're angry about the dishes, but we're not, you know, where I'm going. And we're not trying to fix our mental ability. Our ability, goes back to growth and deficiency motivation. But I'm rambling again, ladies and gentlemen. So hopefully you're getting value. So he goes, I push out all the thoughts of elsewhere and practice being in a state of appreciation. I watch my wife in our home and think of how lucky I am to be here. I even feel appreciative of the most obvious things we often take for granted, such as the refrigerator. And so this is where it really gets practical for us, ladies and gentlemen. Begin to practice feeling appreciative of the most obvious things that you take for granted, especially AC, temperature control. But such as the refrigerator, the pictures on the wall, and the barking dogs, which most people complain about. And see, I'm here complaining about complaining people. Isn't that an irony, ladies and gentlemen? I'm telling people to stop complaining about things. And the main thing that's getting me to do this, not really, I'm more into this because I'm just obsessed with, the spiritual and positive and mystical and philosophical and all of those kind of things. And so, but it's funny, the irony and complaining about complaining people. I even feel appreciative of the most obvious things, he says, the refrigerator, the pictures, and the barking dogs. And it's all about shifting in the moment to appreciation and out of depreciation. I recognize, Wayne says, that Dorothy Parker was known most for her acerbic and biting wit. Perhaps that is why I choose to include her in this book. I love satire and a good laugh as well, which is why I love Hafiz every time Wayne brings him in. And so he continues, when she was told of the death of, this is such a good one here. When she was told of the death of President Calvin Coolidge, she responded, how can they tell? What? What do you mean, how can they tell? And in a review, Wayne continues, of Katharine Hepburn's performance in a 1934 play, Parker said, she ran the gamut of emotions from A to B. Interesting. I am well aware that Dorothy Parker was speaking glibly, Glibly, and with some sarcasm. Okay, she was being funny. In this poem titled On Being a Woman. It addresses the chief factor in leading a fully functioning life. Perhaps the single most predominant feature of mental wellness is the ability to be in the present moment. See, that goes back to those basics. Fully, with no thoughts of being elsewhere. To Henry David Thoreau's description, and he's one of my favorites. I'm going to have to get a book of his. He is blessed. So this is what Henry David Thoreau said. Quote, he is blessed over all mortals who loses no moment of the passing life in remembering the past. Unquote. That was a deep one. I would add, with deep respect, in anticipating the future as well. See, there definitely is a past, but not now. And there definitely is a future, but not now, ladies and gentlemen. Our present moment is a mystery that we are all part of, a dream, if you will, of the moment. Here and now is where all that mystery lies hidden. And make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, to strive to live completely in the present moment is to strive for what already is the case. You can either use up these present moments in a state of appreciation, which is to be here fully now, or in a state of depreciation, which is to wish to be anywhere but here and now. But when all is said and done, now is all there is, ladies and gentlemen, and all there ever has been. Enjoy Dorothy Parker's clever little poem and gain from her observations by incorporating the following suggestions into your present moments. And this is why you want to get this book for yourself, ladies and gentlemen, to put it on your shelf so you can reference the practical bits and the quotes that come from this great wisdom. I have the book linked below. You can expand the description. And I believe there's a link to the audio book there, free Audible trial, and also the book itself on Amazon. So get that, ladies and gentlemen, and that'll help you most importantly, but it also maybe help me. I mean, I've been trying to do Amazon affiliates for like 3 years now, and I don't think I've ever got enough clicks to even make 10 cents, but I just like to have the utility available if somebody actually wants to get the book for themselves, but finds it much easier to just expand the description and click a link and be right on the page right there. Now, notice number one of how to incorporate this philosophy today about appreciation versus depreciation. Number one, notice when you are wishing you are somewhere else and bring yourself back to a state of appreciation for where you are. When you plan something, thoroughly enjoy the planning. Remember that not being fully immersed in the present is nothing more than a habit that you have the option to break right now. And I think the option is getting less and less, I think we can remove that option. I would like to, because I think we have to do this now, ladies and gentlemen. As time passes, to me, it seems to become more and more imperative that we create the practice, and by practicing, create the ability to remember that not being fully immersed in the present is nothing more than a habit. And we have to break it now, in this moment. Number two, discard thoughts of depreciation. When you find yourself depreciating anyone or anything in your immediate or present moment, see if you can substitute a thought of appreciation. For example, rather than being bored by a conversation, shift your thoughts to, I'm going to spend the next few moments just loving this person for who he or she is, and nothing more. This removal of judgment brings you back into the fully present moment, brings you back to being fully in the present moment, ladies and gentlemen. Number three, this is a big one. Take time to meditate. Meditation is so difficult for many people because their thoughts are always on some distant object or place. One form of meditation is to label the thought as it appears and then choose to let it go. This practice, see, this is very basics, back to the basics, ladies and gentlemen, which is good because sometimes I get so deep in all this stuff, I just fly way past the basics to like level 7. But this practice of labeling the thoughts as you watch your thoughts, so you sit there peacefully here in the moment, and you watch your thoughts and say, meh, or, you begin to detach from them and you just see them and you label it and then move on, whether they're good or bad. And you can see then that you can choose to linger on certain ones, but I'm going too far already. Just simply tell yourself, I'm going to spend the label the thoughts as it appears and then choose to let it go. This practice helps you first become aware of your thoughts, which many of us need to do so that we can return to the present moment. Number 4, practice enjoying each phase of a meal for itself. This is a great example. So many of us are thinking about the main course while we're eating the appetizer. And so many of us are thinking about dessert while we're eating the meal, or our second cup of coffee when we're on the first, or all these weird neurotic things that we do. Because this tea is good, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed your beverage during this video. Now, so rather than having your thoughts on dessert while you're consuming the appetizer, see, you took it a step further. This also goes for enjoying, so enjoy the meal itself rather than thinking ahead. This also goes for enjoying the sunrise in the morning and being awake during the day and not thinking of your bed while at work. That's a tough one. See, I work interesting hours, and so there's sometimes where I'm like, man, I'm ready for bed. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we all feel that in life. And so, try to not think of the other place rather than appreciating where we are now. The essence, really, of the entire message here is to be here now. Because simply put, ladies and gentlemen, there is no other place to be. Boom to wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. Boom to wisdom. And I really hope you got huge value out of that, because, man, that was a really good one to me. And see, it felt like it was a little longer than some of them in the past, but maybe sometimes I just feel that way. But so how we can change our lives by appreciating, by appreciating the present moment. I think I'll write that one down. Write that one down so we don't forget, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, pen. How to change. And see, I like to take notes and stuff when I'm listening to videos and things. I used to do it more than I do now, but it's a good practice because then you have massive stacks of notes. I literally have a stack this high of notes down here that are just random on random subjects of good stuff, good wisdom and philosophy and life-changing stuff. See, I already forgot now. How to change your life. By appreciating the present moment. We'll see if I adjust that a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. But that was a good one. Next week's Wednesday Wisdom is on the subject of forgiveness. Interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that appreciation would lead into forgiveness. And see, both of these are an ability that we create through a practice. And that's really the secret, ladies and gentlemen. That's the real secret. When you talk about the secret and the keys to manifesting, which is what I'm really trying to learn through all of this, because there are keys to manifesting in all of this. This entire journey of what's been like 48 videos or something so far, and just this series of the Wisdom of the Ages. It's like we can create this ability to not only change the quality of our lives, but begin to move, like, how a boat has a rudder? We can begin to move the rudder and steer the direction of our lives, and not only steer the direction of our lives physically, but in a more spiritual, mystical sense, to where the things that start happening in our lives, some other people would call lucky, or you happen to be at the right place at the right time, or that just worked out for you. But I know, ladies and gentlemen, I used to believe, but now I know that there is a science to lucky people. And I've been working on this science, so people call it manifesting or the secret. But the real secret is, ladies and gentlemen, to become aware of your thoughts, being here in the present moment, and beginning a practice that eventually creates an ability that leads to a much greater and a much higher quality of life. And so we can't just sit around on the couch and say, I'm gonna create $1 million, and do all these ohms and ahs, and that is part of the process because that's a connection to the force. And see, this is a different subject already. So I hope you're getting value in this new subject. We'll end here soon, ladies and gentlemen. But it's not just the sitting there and using your mind, it's creating a practice that becomes an action in life, or a direction, or a choice, or an ability, or you know what I mean. So boom, ladies and gentlemen, cheers. I love everybody. Be sure to expand the description below and get yourself a landscape painting. I got the boxes right over here to ship them. They're ready to ship, ladies and gentlemen, like 60 bucks on Etsy for a 16 by 20 beautiful landscape. But, so there's that shameless plug. I'd love to sell more of them. Can you tell, ladies and gentlemen? But anyways, also be sure to get the book for yourself because it's great reference. It's great for us. And I also have C60 Purple Power, the most powerful antioxidant known to man. Protect yourself and protect your health, ladies and gentlemen, with C60 Purple Power. And with that said, remember, ladies and gentlemen, continue to seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment. Continue to seek to discover the wisdom of the ages and begin to make happiness the way. Because there is no way to happiness, ladies and gentlemen. It is the way. And if we can bring it as the activity, the process that we bring to life, then the goal that we've been striving for, telling ourselves, I'll be happy one day when I get there, but not now. And see, this is what this whole video today was about, is appreciating the present moment rather than depreciating it by striving for some place. And I'm not happy now, but when I get there, I will be. When we can begin to make happiness the way, ladies and gentlemen, and bring happiness to life, then that goal becomes irrelevant because we're already there. And then the entire journey is wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week with some more Tuesday Tao and Wednesday Wisdom, learning to live the wisdom of the Tao and live the wisdom of the ages. And in between now and then, we'll have some more short videos for you. They'll seem to do a lot better and bring traction back to the channel. So be sure to share these videos out with people you think are like-minded, ladies and gentlemen. And until then, be the change that you want to see in the world and begin to make a positive impact on the people around you and on your life by being here in the present moment and appreciating. All right. Love you, ladies and gentlemen.